All right, hey, what's up guys? This is Brennan from Gateway Defense, and today what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at stage planning. So if you've ever tried to shoot a USPSA match or a competition match of any kind, you know that there are matches that are consisting of stages. Usually there's 5 to 6 stages per match, and when you walk up to a stage, it can be a little bit intimidating if you don't know exactly how to kind of build a plan of attack, if you will, right? So real quick caveat, I am by no means a master stage planner, right? But I am a master class competitor in USPSA. I primarily compete in the carry optics division. So I've shot a few matches and I've learned a good bit along the way. So hopefully this will just give you guys a starting point to kind of know some general rules of thumb of how to break down a stage. So what we've got drawn out on the whiteboard, and you guys really have to excuse my terrible drawing. Art was never my strong suit, right? But what I've got is just a rough approximation of what this stage looks like. And what we're gonna do is I'm going to play a video of me shooting a stage from actually our YouTube series on the Gateway Defense channel of how to get into USPSA. So if you guys want a more in-depth breakdown of some of this stuff, be sure to check out those videos. But this is the stage essentially of how it was laid out. And I'll give you guys just a little quick context, and then we'll play this video, and then we'll kind of break down how I approach the stage. All right, so the rules to the stage were you were to start back here on the fault lines with feet touching marks, okay? And on the beep, you were just to engage all targets as they were available from within the shooting area, okay? So the dotted lines here is the shooting area. Those are fault lines. In the video, you'll see they're painted like red 2x2s, right? As you go around, you guys can see my rough drawings of like those silhouette USPSA targets, and the written stage brief told us that there were going to be 14 paper targets and 3 steel poppers, right? 3 steel targets. So I wrote that down up here, 14 paper, 3 steel. That's a total of 31 rounds. And because my mags only hold about 24 rounds, I knew I was gonna have to do a reload as well somewhere in this stage. So I'm already planning on shooting 2 mags. And the first thing I'm gonna do is, well, we'll watch this video and then we'll talk about the first steps.
Bye! Finish, when you show clear. If you're clear, hammer down and holster. Yeah. Range is clear, 1731.
All right, and that's it, 17 seconds, 17.31 seconds right there. So you guys can see there's quite a bit going on in terms of the shooting, and it's happening in a relatively short amount of time, 17 seconds. We're getting 31 rounds off and shooting from all these different positions and running around. So in an effort to try to make this a little bit less confusing, let's just break it down. So like we said, the start position was starting back here on the X's with our feet on the marks. And as we kind of look at this, right? I know, okay, here's my start position. I know how many rounds I'm going to be firing, and I know how many targets there are. So my first step is always to, number one, identify where all the targets are. So that means when I walk up to a stage, I'm going to feel free to walk all around the stage. I don't have to stay inside the fault lines. I might go outside of the fault lines and just make sure I can see every target. So for instance, over here we have these, this is my approximation of those barrels, but we have like a little partial target hidden behind the barrels. And so you can only see those if you're kind of leaning over to the left from this front fault line. So it's, you know, that's a target that could be, you know, relatively easily missed. So getting outside the fault lines, walking around and making sure you see them all, that is probably a very good idea. Because I knew there were 14 paper and 3 steel, I'm looking to count 14 paper and 3 steel for a total of 17 targets. Once I do all of that, okay, I'm now going to see where they're visible from within the fault lines, because we have to shoot inside the fault lines. So I know I have to start here, and I'm just gonna start walking around and seeing where they're visible from. So this array over here on the left, and this is actually a tuxedo target, so it's got some hardcover on the sides, right? So as I came over to here, I could see that there was one paper target, there was 3 steel poppers, and there was another paper target. And these seemed like they could only be engaged from this position right here. So I said, okay, so I checked that out, and then I went around and I verified, can I see them from anywhere else? These black walls right here are see-through at the match, but you're not allowed to shoot through them. So I pretty much could see these targets are off by themselves, can't get them from anywhere else. So we're gonna call that a forced shooting position. So we'll call that position 1, okay? Going over to here, I was able to see there was this double stack of targets, which you guys can see over here. So let's see, we have the paper, 3 steel, and a paper, all right? And then coming over here, I had, yep, that double stack, and then a real tight, low single target right up against that wall. So when I come over here and looked at these targets, it seemed like I could pretty much only shoot these targets from this position as well. Wasn't really anywhere else to see them from. So now I've got a second forced shooting position. So I know at some point I'm gonna have to come to position 1, and I'm also gonna have to come to position 2. All right, from here, I moved up, and I stopped right here by this wall, okay? And from this wall, you can see, or from this position, you can see this target with a tuxedo target. You could see the 2 opens with a no shoot in between, and you could see 2 open targets kind of off to the right. One was deep and one was a little bit closer in. All right, so you guys can see I kind of stopped here for shooting the tuxedo target because it was kind of far away. So I didn't want to be trying to shoot it on the move. And let's see how we kind of approach these targets. All right, so you can see these last 4 targets, I'm kind of pulling out of position, I'm kind of backing out, so I'm trying to shoot those on the move. And the interesting thing here is to see, as soon as I'm done with my last target, which is this target right here by the barrels, as soon as I'm done shooting it, this target over here, which actually was a tuxedo as well, was already available to shoot. So as soon as I'm done shooting here, I can immediately transition to the tuxedo. So show that one more time. So shoot the tuxedo static, back out on those papers, immediately transition to the tuxedo, and then take care of the other 3 targets. All right, so I ended right here shooting through this little hole in the wall, which is called a port. So now I've identified the 4 positions I've got to shoot from. Right. One thing that's worth noting is all of these targets, all of these 5 targets right here, can kind of be shot anywhere along this line, right? So from over here, you can see the tuxedo and the 2 opens with a no shoot between. As you move over, you can still see them, but now these 2 open targets start becoming available. So one thing I was immediately trying to decide was, is there any way that I can save time in this position by shooting some of these targets on the move? And as you guys saw, that's why I decided to post up right here by the wall, shoot the tuxedo target static because it was difficult, but then all of these other targets were pretty easy. And so the idea was to start moving out away from that 3rd position into position 4 while I was shooting. So my path looks something like this. I'm over here to position 1, engage paper, steel, 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 and paper. So we're at 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 rounds, okay? We're gonna run over to here, and we're going to engage 8, 10, and 12 rounds. Move up to here. We're gonna get, and we threw a reload in here. All right, and engaged, so we're at 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22 rounds. As we're backing up into this final position, 24, 26, 28, and 29 rounds. I must have miscounted. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, 31. There we go. Counting's not my strong suit. All 31 rounds are there. We've engaged all of them, and we've essentially shot from 1, 2, 3 shooting positions and try to blend this last position right here. So the basics are pretty simple. Identify where all the targets are, see where you have to shoot them from, and then plot an efficient path between those positions. And if there's anything that you can shoot on the move between those 2 positions, it's usually a pretty good idea to knock that out. that is pretty much my take on stage planning, guys. Hope that's helpful for you. Again, it's just barely scratching the surface on what you guys can start to learn from something like this, but hopefully it's helpful if you are getting out and looking to shoot your first match soon, or maybe you have shot a couple matches and the stage planning part was fairly confusing. Again, hope this helps. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments. We'd be happy to get back to you. Until next time, this is stage planning from Gateway Defense.
Are you ready? Stand by. Range is clear, 1731.